Yes, here we go. And a very good morning to you, Grenada. Tap, 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 tap. Yeah, there we go. And a very good morning. Welcome to today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. Today happens to be the 24th day of, March. Fast approaching the end. 1 week from today, we'll be saying bonsoir, March. Nice to see you folks already out there this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be an interesting program. We're going to be, well, let me get right to the rundown and tell you exactly what's going on. So there'll be no surprises once we get up and rolling. First of all, coming your way this morning, your two editorials. The Grenada Advocate, which is captioned, "Time to adopt a healthier lifestyle." How many times have we heard that? Can't hear it often enough. The second editorial has a lot to do with our main feature today. It's captioned, "That Privy Council ruling." Yes, sirree, Mr. Ewart, Layne. That has caused quite a stir here in the spice aisle over the past couple of days. And, this morning we're going to pursue that somewhat. Our interview this morning is captioned, "Marathon to raise funds for Attach a Leg." Pilgrims, this morning, in fact, in just a wee bit, I'm seeing him here already on my monitor, and in just a wee bit, I'm just going to show you so you don't think that Georgie Porgy is putting you on, okay? Hang on a sec here. Just let me do this, and let me do that, and let me do the other, and make sure that he is up there on the screen. Yeah, he's there. Yeah, he's there. Hang on a sec. See? Take a look. Look at that big smile. I haven't got a clue where he is. James, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Yes, he can hear me. The internet audio is not the very best, but I understand that you can hear me.
You, George.
Where are you?
It's a little bit just coming up from Korea.
Pardon me?
Sorry, it's very noisy. I've got a streamer right next to me here.
Where are you?
You give me typical streamer going.
Okay, folks, that's James Pascall. James is actually on his way to the studio. He's going to be here with me at about 9:45. I'm not sure where he is right now, but he's actually out there jogging live as we speak to you on his way to me. James, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, George.
Okay, that's a lot better. Where are you?
I've just turned in Confer Gap. I'm heading up towards Laborie, Hope Vale area.
He's heading up towards Laborie in the Hope Vale area. Well, James, thanks for checking in. We're going to check in with you again just before you get here. I'm going to try and get back to you. I'm going to try and get back to you at about 20 minutes before 10 o'clock and see where you are. Okay?
See you soon.
Okie doke. James Pascall on his way. Man's trying to raise money for a very worthy charity, Attach a Leg. It's a gentleman by the name of Gylfi Hilmission. And Gylfi started this project to provide prosthetics for amputees here in Grenada. He's been on this program a couple of times, and he's going to be here with James again this morning. So we'll get to them in a wee bit, okay? But I just wanted you to see that James is actually on his way right now, out there on the road, wending his way up to Woolwich Road, and he should be here at about 9:45 or so. Now, so that's going to be our only interview this morning, per se. Our main feature, however, is an issue which is very topical in this country today. I'm sure that many of you have heard that the Privy Council has nixed, if you will, the effort by Mr. Ewart Layne to practice law here in Grenada. And believe it or not, this morning Mr. Layne's going to be sitting right here next to me, responding to that Privy Council ruling, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we are going to speak about as well. Okay, Mr. Layne is a former revolutionary, back in the days of the Grenada Revolution, 1979 to 1983 or thereabouts. Okay, very interesting session that's going to be. I met this gentleman only for the first time a couple of days ago, and I'm looking forward to having him back here this morning. Now, having said that, let me see what's going on out there on Facebook already this morning. Margaret Francis is saying, happy Sunday. Hey there, Mags. Good to see you, girl. Lydia James is saying good morning. Shaba Regis saying good morning, Mr. Grant. Shaba, just George would be Mr. Grant stuff, man. Get off my case, will you? George, that's good enough. He says, you're live and direct from London. Well, hey, good to see you. We had some folks from London visiting us here yesterday. They flew in on the Royal Air Force, a big airplane from the Royal Air Force, and flew out. They didn't overnight. But yeah, they were here. Did you send them? No. Fitzroy Adams is saying good morning to all on a bright and beautiful Sunday morning. Anthea, hello there. Anthea is saying good morning to all from Orlando. She's on the road. She's not in Decatur this morning. And Reese Francis, hearty good morning, Mr. George. And my Grenadian family, trusting all is well. Lifelong learning begins. We're going to do our best this morning, Reese. Good to see you. Sawandi Fabio Sam is saying good morning to you and all, George. Kathleen Thomas saying good morning. Richard St. Bernard. Hello, Richard St. Bernard. Is that old Snaky? Sure, saying good morning. Jackie O saying happy Sunday from a brisk and crisp Washington, D.C. You know, a certain friend of mine who lives way out northern Quebec, who's used to the freezing weather. Well, this morning she opened her eyes in the very sunny, very warm, beautiful climate. And when she hears things like Jackie O was just saying about a brisk and crisp Washington, D.C., she goes, eat it. Okay. Oswin Lois is saying good morning, everyone. So is Bob Marishow and Deborah. Hello, Debbie. Deborah Parker, Stratus Robinson, Edith Phillip. Who else is there? Lincoln Roberts is sending much love. And well, I'm sure he's sending blessings too. He always does. Folks, that's it. Let's take a little break here, and we'll come on back with today's edition of The Buzz.
We are working on a project up in Carriacou to upgrade the controls on the generators. The controls are outdated and it does not give us the flexibility when we want to connect a new generator.
The Carriacou power plant has 3 Cummins gensets and a Caterpillar unit. They are not compatible. The Caterpillar was added as something, a retrofit, essentially to help with generation when we had a Cummins outage. So the control systems were never meant to operate together initially. So what this project did is essentially created a means that the Caterpillar unit and the Cummins system, the original Cummins system of the Carriacou plant, can be compatible.
Now we have seamless transition from one generator system to another. The customer won't even know the difference. We chose Governor Controls because we've had a number of experience with them. We designed the system together.
This project couldn't come at a better time when we are seeing growth on our system.
The good part about this system here now, I know for sure, I didn't think nobody would be calling me out of my bed. Me and the other team members, because we had to rush to get back our engine in time for the Islands Peak.
Yeah, I want to thank the customers, thanks for their patience.
It's a major milestone for us, and the overall benefits would be improved reliability.
GRENADA, energizing our community.
Start the stride to a healthy lifestyle at the 2019 annual Pump It Up Family Fun Walk. There'll be more fun, more smiles, and more prizes for families and friends. Join us in Carriacou on April 7th at 4 p.m. as we walk from the Harveyvale playing field to the Hillsborough tennis court. And in Grenada on April 28th at 4 p.m. from the Montrouge playing field to the National Cricket Stadium. Packages cost $20 per person for up to 2 individuals and $15 per person for groups of 3 or more. Come out in your numbers to help us raise funds towards re-establishing the Carlton Home. Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, here we go. It's now, 12 and a half minutes after the hour. Time to get right into today's edition of The Buzz. Before I do, Kipling is saying good morning on Rumble Chat. So is Isaac, and Tessa is saying good morning. I'm wishing everybody a blessed day. Kipling is also asking you folks to share, okay? Do whatever you have to do to get the word around that we're here, and we'll be until 12 noon. Now, in today's edition of The Buzz, we begin, as always, with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. Today, the second book of Chronicles, chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Does that mean there's hope for us here in Grenada? Sure hope so. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. Just want to take a moment here this morning to acknowledge the passing of one of our loyal listeners to this program, a gentleman by the name of Dean George. Here's a gentleman who has routinely joined us on this program Sunday mornings for many, many years, even though he's been ailing for quite some time now. As recently as a couple of weeks ago, I was advised that he was nearing the end of his life. It didn't come as a surprise. Apparently, he passed away early yesterday morning. And although this guy was pretty helpless, he always was able to tune in to this program on a Sunday morning. He lived in Canada, by the way. It's from River Sally down here in Grenada, but he's been up there in Canada for many years. I think it's in the Toronto area. So I do extend my condolences to his family, and I want to thank you, Elton, for keeping me posted on what's been happening up there. Please accept my condolences and convey those to his family as well, okay? And may his soul rest in peace. Now, events of the revolution. That's what Little Angel is going to be talking about this morning. Let me share this with you. Little Angel says, the recount of events last Sunday by Mr. Dennis Charles, originally from Tivoli, was rather chilling and should never be taken for granted. Mr. Charles should be recognized for his strength in recalling his personal experiences during the Revolution, and it will be of benefit for all Grenadians to listen and take heed. His story brought to mind similar atrocities that are common in foreign places like Rwanda and Yugoslavia, and it is hard to believe that they have also occurred right here in Grenada. It is obvious that Mr. Charles was a victim of the Revolution and bears the scars which can be used as evidence in a court of law, giving reason to ask, where was the International Court of Justice, or The Hague, at the time of the Revolution? Mr. Charles spoke about lies, character assassinations, misinformation, false accusations, victimization, and most of all, crimes against humanity. He also admitted that at the time there was one radio station and that the revolution suspended free speech and all political associations. There were no political parties, no demonstrations, and no opposition. Was Mr. Charles really recounting what took place during the revolution in the 1980s? Or was he describing experiences being witnessed here in Grenada today? Is it possible that Grenada's history is repeating itself after once, twice, and now 3 times? The late Sir Eric Matthew Gary was described as a dictator. The late Maurice Bishop was accused of making the same mistake. And today, if these questions seem misplaced, how about Mr. Charles recalling that the then Prime Minister, Maurice Bishop, went on radio to divide the country? Does this statement sound familiar? And could this be a writing on the wall? Or, more specifically, a voice crying out in the wilderness? Much can be derived from Mr. Dennis Charles's sharing, but what about the sharing by others? Whether of past events or current ones? How many Grenadians are sufficiently aware and understand that free speech is an inalienable right, and that there is much to be derived from honest sharing? Like many other like-minded individuals, Mr. Dennis Charles called for the truth surrounding events of the Revolution, and nothing but the truth. He also indicated an interest in reconciliation. But for the truth to be told, and for reconciliation to take place, there must be honest talk among Grenadians. Mr. Charles displayed some sign of being emotionally overwhelmed while recounting his story. That, too, has its benefits. Signed, Little Angel. That's her offering this week, folks. Little Angel, Little Angel. Let me see. Let's get back here to, let's get back here to Facebook. Oh boy, you guys are really busy out there this morning. It's going to be a tough time keeping up. Ryan says, Ryan, by the way, please accept, Ryan lost his puppy, Jay. Ryan, I sent you an email. You haven't responded. I saw on Facebook where apparently Jay has passed away, and I wanted to know what happened. I saw this picture on Facebook with this dog with a tennis ball in his mouth, like he's just getting ready to play some tennis against Boris Becker or somebody, I don't know. But anyhow, let me know, Ryan, and please accept my condolences. Who else is here? Reese Francis says, oh no. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Reese. Meckerman Alexander is saying good morning to you folks, hoping that you have a great day. Reese, you mentioned him a few weeks ago. Yes, she's talking about that friend of ours who died in Canada, I think Toronto. Bernard Gilbert saying have a great day. Heartfelt condolences to Dean's family and friends. So says Rod. Davini Leo saying good morning, class, and another beautiful day. Peter Bishop saying good morning, and Chester is also joining us out there in Switzerland. Good to see all you folks this morning. Louis, take a little break here, and we'll come on back with our editorials.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And Grenlec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Alrighty, folks. Sharon has just chimed in saying good morning. I noticed that you have a huge class today. Your forum is becoming quite the university. Thanks, Sharon. You have helped to make it that. Do appreciate it. Good to see you, folks. Folks, it's now 24:30 after the hour. Let's get right down to brass tacks here because we're going to be checking in with James again in a little while. Isn't that great? James actually has this little smartphone with him, and as he jogs his way up to us here on Willett Road, he's talking to us. That's great. Now, the editorial which appears or appeared in this past week's edition of The Grenada Advocate is captioned, "Time to adopt a healthier lifestyle." Obesity is a challenge which affects an increasing number of persons in the Caribbean region every year. Although there has been information circulated in recent years about the dangers of obesity and the importance of proper diet and exercise, it seems that some have not paid attention to these warnings. Others are still selective about how they interpret the information made available to them. With this in mind, it is important at this time to improve our knowledge of this condition while encouraging an increase in physical activity and healthy eating across the island. It is necessary to take a look at the past so that we can make sound decisions on how to approach our future. During interviews with centenarians, one of the questions most frequently asked of them as they celebrate that milestone is, what is the secret to their longevity? More often than not, they allude to the inclusion of ground provisions in their diet, as well as having to walk or ride long distances due to the lack of various modes of transportation that we now have available to us today. The lifestyles they adopted throughout their lifetime obviously complemented their bodies to help push them to the 100-year mark. Many older people have also observed that the younger generations are not proving to be as strong, in general, as they were in their youth. This is a challenge, especially among children. They have adopted sedentary lifestyles, so from an early age, many are placed in front of the television, or they play video games for countless hours, instead of being encouraged to take up a sport or just play outside with their peers in their neighborhoods. Several reasons have been advanced for such a change in pace, including the lack of accessibility of land for the purpose of recreation. Fears have also been expressed about the possibility of children being affected by crime while playing in public places. In addition, many families fail to accept the fact that because they are living more insular existences, this contributes largely to the sedentary lifestyle of many children and adults. There is the view that healthy eating places more pressure on a person's budget than consuming cheaper, unhealthy food. However, in our quest to deal with the problem of obesity, householders should be encouraged to crack down on the amount of junk food in their shopping baskets in favor of more local fruits and vegetables. Here, too, there is an opportunity for nutritionists, chefs, and others to create and disseminate more attractive recipes featuring local produce. With these statistics indicating that a very high percentage of persons in the region are obese, it is important that the active lifestyle philosophy is spread throughout the islands. Former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, pushed the Let's Move campaign back in 2010 to combat the level of obesity among Grenadian children. Among American children. She, too, was leading by example with a kitchen garden on the grounds of the White House, which was intended to provide herbs and vegetables for their meals. A healthy lifestyle is necessary for a strong population. We have the information and the plan of action to make this a reality. Let us start today. That's your editorial from the Grenada Advocate, as it appeared. I think it was this past Wednesday. And let's see here. Yvonne Joseph is saying good morning to you folks on Facebook. Ryan is saying here, I find man's inhumanity to be... Hold on. I find man's inhumanity to man repugnant. Dear Jay, that's his puppy, died in my lap at the old age of 12 with fluid around the heart, lungs, and abdomen, gasping for air. We miss him desperately and will always love him. Boy Ryan, having been through my share with good old Brandy, remember? My little pooch? Yeah, I can relate to you, my friend. But you know what? There's an old saying that this too shall pass. Sometimes I wonder if it really does. But you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Let's see here. Ashton Fletcher, despite whatever side you took about the revolution, one thing I stood and still stand for today is one of its mottos. Quote, that we should eat what we grow and grow what we eat. Absolutely, Ashton, absolutely. Folks, here comes another quick break. Come back with the news today. All right, just before I get into the news today, there's some comments here on social media. First of all, Jackie O says, as a healthcare worker, there is a rise in juvenile diabetes. A big part of the issue is a lack of public education on these diseases. Hey, girl, absolutely. She goes on to say, we are what we eat. You don't buy it, you don't eat it. You grow it, you eat it. Good advice, Jackie. Then, Ryan says, half a plate of steamed okra and callaloo, quarter plate of boiled bananas, and another quarter plate of fish is reachable. You're hired as our chef, Ryan. Thank you very much. He says, get up and walk the land. And he also says, grief is individualistic, and so is post-traumatic stress disorder. You'll be okay, Ryan. You'll be okay. And finally, I'm going to try hard to pronounce this. There's somebody out there in Iceland listening to us right now. Gylfi, I think, is the first name. That's not bad. The second name is spelled Friorikasson. I'll just call you Gylfi, okay? Gylfi says, greetings to my favorite island from Iceland. I am a proud supporter of ALG. I guess that's the attach a leg. And will continue to do so. They are a blessing to your island. One love. Actually, Gylfi, I think that Gylfi is also from Iceland. Don't know if you know him, but well, they're going to be here in just a wee bit. After the New Today, we're going to be checking in with James. Now, the editorial which appeared on Friday's edition of the New Today is captioned, That Privy Council Ruling. Monday's decision by the Privy Council in London to dismiss the appeal by former soldier Lieutenant Colonel Ewart Layne to be admitted to practice law in Grenada is a massive defeat for the so-called ultra-leftist forces in the country, who are known as Cordites. This name is given to all those Grenada revolutionaries who were associated with former Deputy Prime Minister Bernard Cord, the suspected mastermind of the Bloody Palace coup within the 1979-1983 Grenada Revolution, in which Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, 3 cabinet colleagues, and several others were executed at Fort George on October 19, 1983. Layne has been facing an uphill battle in his attempt to be admitted as a member of the Grenada Bar in the wake of his convictions for mass murder due to his role in the bloodbath at the fort. The former top Army commander has continued to plead his innocence of the murder charges laid against him in what he has often dubbed as a kangaroo court trial that was conducted by a court that was created by the same 1979-1983 revolutionary government that he helped to create following the coup d'etat against the elected Eric Gairy government on March 13, 1979. It is ironic that the Privy Council delivered its stinging judgment against Layne and his ambition to become a lawyer just a day or two after the Cordites ended a week of celebrations for the March 13th coup against the Gairy regime. The New Today sees the effect of the ruling of the Privy Council as shutting the door firmly in Layne's face and his ambition to walk the corridors of the High Court as a member of the Grenada Bar. However, this newspaper is more concerned about what appears to be an attempt by governmental authorities on the island to play games with the Layne issue in an effort to facilitate his efforts to become a lawyer. The records will show that the current government did not participate or make any appearance before the High Court when Layne applied to be admitted to practice as a lawyer when Cajerton Hood was serving as Attorney General. This matter first came up for hearing before the then sitting judge, Justice Margaret Price Finlay, and the judge thought it prudent and important to appoint John Carrington, QC, as a friend of the court in the face of the state not putting up an appearance. The New Today is unaware of what advice was given by Attorney General Hood to the Cabinet of Ministers, including Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, on Layne's application issued before the High Court. When Layne lost before the High Court, he quite rightly decided to challenge the decision before the Court of Appeal. There were clear signs and signals that the Mitchell-led government was pussyfooting on making an appearance before the Court of Appeal to fight against the revolutionary soldier. It is our information that the then Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Legal Affairs, Elvin Nimrod, got involved almost at the 99th hour and instructed then Solicitor General Dwight Hosford, and not Attorney General Hood, for whatever reason, to fight the Layne matter on behalf of the government and people of Grenada. This newspaper recalls that Mr. Hosford did appear and put forward submissions in the case, and the Court of Appeal rejected Layne once again. The Mitchell government again gave a different signal when Layne decided to take the matter to the Privy Council, as new Attorney General Dr. Lawrence Joseph wrote in a letter which came before the law lords, signaling that the Grenada government will not be pursuing the Layne matter before the court in London. Why did Dr. Joseph adopt such a position on the Layne matter? It is doubtful that Joseph unilaterally took that decision and did not consult the government on the issue of not putting forward an appearance before the law lords of the Privy Council. There has been no explanation months later from the current rulers to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique on the pussyfooting by government on such a matter of great importance, a situation that could have far-reaching implications for the country, in which an individual with 11 convictions for killing people, including a prime minister, was seeking admittance to become a lawyer. This newspaper holds the strong view that if Layne's appeal at the Privy Council was allowed, then all public confidence in the institutional integrity of the state and the administration of justice in the legal system would have collapsed beyond resurrection. The impression from the Mitchell government on the Layne matter is that it simply did not care about the reputation and integrity of the legal profession in Grenada. Does it have anything to do with the influx of those cordite elements within the ruling New National Party government under the banner of the so-called Project Grenada? What is also rather interesting is the role of former Attorney General Hood in the entire Ewart Layne affair. Mr. Hood was paid for several years by the taxpayers of the country to serve government as an Attorney General and principal legal advisor, and he did not appear against Layne in the matter, either at the level of the High Court or the Court of Appeal. However, Attorney Hood showed up for the Layne hearing in London before the Privy Council in October to give pro bono service to the former revolutionary soldier who is seeking to get the law lords to dismiss the ruling against him. This newspaper holds the view that Mr. Hood would have to explain to the Grenadian people what seems to be a rather strange behavior on his part in the entire Layne matter. It is well known that Mr. Layne was once attached to his private chambers as part of his so far unsuccessful sojourn to get admitted to practice law in the country. The unsuspecting people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique are certainly not aware of the big and nasty games that are being played in very high circles in this country, all in the name of power. That, Pilgrims, will do it for your editorials this week. Now, that one, by the way, was the Grenada Today. Time now, if you will. Just give me a second here. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. There he is. James, where are you?
George, I'm just below here.
All right, so you're just outside of my place now.
Are you ready for me?
Come on in, man. Come on in.
I'm going to run in as we speak.
Okay. Yeah. There he is.
All right.
I'm going to find out just how well this run went.
I'm about 45 seconds away, George.
He's about 45 seconds away. Good to see you. And you still look very energetic. You haven't even broken a sweat, James.
Got a bit of traffic.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, there he is.
There we go. Last little sprint.
James is going to be joining us momentarily. There he is. And he's also going to be joined by Gylfi. Gylfi's the person who founded the attach a leg. Gylfi's here. Okay.
Whoa. Gates are collapsing, sorry.
The gate. Yes, there he is.
I'm leaving that.
Forget about the gate. You can leave the gate open, James. Just come on in. Come on up the stairs. Wow. Okay, he's obviously in the building now, and very shortly we will see him coming through the door. Yep, there he is. There he is. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come on in. Have a seat. Yeah, you can turn that off now. You can turn that off. Okay, you have a seat here, James. And then you have a seat here at Gylfi. Okay. Have a seat, James. Have a seat. Okay. All right. They are here. They have made it. So there is James. Take a look. Hold on a sec. Take a look. There he is. Puffing and panting. How was your walk, my friend? Oh, hold on. We need you to put this on so people can hear what you're saying. He's just mopping up. And Gylfi, you put that one on.
I'm going to make a very damp patch on this.
Hold on. Let me have that, Gylfi. We'll put this on here for you.
Does that work?
Yeah, you're all set to go, James, and Gylfi should be momentarily. Okay. Yeah. Look at that. How are you, James? It's good to see you, man. Where did you start your walk?
Run.
You run. Where did you start?
I started at Grandad's.
At Grandad's?
Uh-huh.
About how long ago was that?
That was at 7:30.
7:30 this morning.
So I'm hoping, I haven't measured it, but it's roughly a half marathon length today.
Okay.
And I've been up some beautiful country, all through Mount Hartman, up through the cliff down to Comfort Gap.
Okay.
When I called you the first time.
Okay.
Through Laborie and then back down through on the St. Paul's Road.
So 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, just a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And look at him. He's not even huffing and panting. I mean, coming up the stairs here, I'm dying.
I'm a little warm, but
A little
not
warm.
feeling too bad. My legs will be hurting tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
To some degree, yeah.
We're going to talk about what you're doing and just why you're doing this in a minute. But take a look at this guy here. Now, this is the guy who this is all about. This is Gylfi. You've been with us before, Gylfi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome back. Yeah, you're not hearing me, but we're hearing you.
All right, cool. Good.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
Aren't you delighted?
I'm excited. As you know, this is amazing. It's really amazing. The support that I'm receiving now, and James is doing a good job, and he's not the only one either. So there's a lot of good things happening right now, George.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. Just let me try and get a picture of everybody up here because, yeah, there we go. James in the middle and Gylfi off to the right. The reason why this seems like no stress on you is because you're the kind of wacko who takes your bike to different countries and rides, climbs mountains and stuff. Where's some of the places you've been? Tell us.
Well, I guess most recently was Spain last year. Had a good ride on the mountains there. And then about a year and a half ago, a group of us went to Costa Rica to do what they call the toughest mountain bike race in the world. And that was awesome. It was very, very hard. But I had a few broken bones and things, not personally, but some of the group, broken arm on the race itself.
Yeah.
Concussion. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
And now this leads up to the fact that sometime in April you're going to be doing this marathon to help with attach a leg.
Right.
I'm going to ask Gylfi, for those who may not be familiar with the Attach a Leg project, I'm going to ask Gylfi to explain the project, and then I want you to tell us about that run, the details about the run, okay? Gylfi, about the Attach a Leg. How long have you been going? What's some of the work you've done?
We've been doing this since, we're on the 5th year now that we're doing it. And what we are doing, we are providing prosthetic help to amputees on the island. And it's predominantly diabetes-related amputations, which seems to be an ongoing thing, and it's a horrible thing to witness. And it's more prominent in the community than we realize. We don't really see these people unless we go to visit them in their homes. We don't hear about them too much either. But the need is enormous, unfortunately. So that's where we try to come in. I used to work as a prosthetics engineer for 15 years in Iceland, in Sweden, and in the US. And then when I decided that I wanted to see what I could make of myself here in Grenada, I thought that would be a perfect opportunity to try and do something helpful, do something valuable.
About how many patients have you had? Ballpark figure.
What we have, as in, I can't quite hear.
About how many patients have you helped?
Well, so far I'm up to 84 people that I have applied a prosthetic leg for.
Okay.
During these 5 years.
And I think that one of the reasons why people here are so appreciative of the service is because providing prosthetics is not a cheap endeavor.
No, of course not. I mean, there's a cost to everything, and unfortunately, this high performance materials, quality stuff, and it's not cheap. No, but it shouldn't be too expensive either, and it should be available at moderate cost, and that's what we're hoping to do, and that's what we have been able to do, and we're hoping to be able to do in the future.
So how have you been able to fund the project thus far?
Well, we have been very fortunate in my old boss and mentor, Oscar Christensen from Iceland. He has been supporting us in an enormously generous way with giving us, basically, he's been donating us the materials for us to use, right? His support, as it has been, is of course not sustainable. It's nothing for free, no? But he's now since retired from business life, and so that generosity is no longer available to us. So this is where we come in, and we need to start funding the purchases of the materials. And I am in the process of negotiating as favorable a price for the components for each leg as possible. But we're talking around, James and I were discussing this, what would the ballpark figure is around $700 US, the cost for the materials to make one prosthetic leg.
700 US bucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just the raw materials. Okay. Hopefully it might be a little bit less than that, but that's going to be somewhere around there.
Let me try and convert that for the benefit of the curious ones there. There's 700 times 2.7. You're talking almost $1,900.
Yep.
$1,890 EC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is in comparison to the market out there. If you go to a prosthetics clinic in Canada, the same thing. It may look a little shinier. They may put a little bit of nice patterns on the lamination type things like that. But the functionality and the quality of material is exactly the same. You'd be looking at maybe 28,000 Canadian. Canadian. No, that's EC. I think it's EC dollars. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm exaggerating that. But it's
about 10,000 US. Just
10,000 US bucks.
Yeah.
More. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So that's another good reason why Grenadians really ought to respond to this little marathon. And James is going to try and run himself to death. What date is your marathon?
It's the 28th of April, George.
28th of April.
And there's a reason for that.
Why?
So let me just introduce our good friend Phil Clift, who is running the London Marathon on that day.
Okay.
And he's raising money for, say, attach a leg, because he's got a worker who lost his leg and had a prosthetic fitted by Gylfi, and he's back up working normally, loving life. So it's very personal to Phil as well. So he's going to do London. Now, I wasn't entered in London this year. I didn't even try. It's very hard to get in. You may remember I did London in 2016.
Yep.
And I raised £6,000 for a London charity, wearing a red dress.
Let me hold this up to the camera here.
Now,
there is James.
The purpose of the dress was the fact that I would raise more money, which I did. I raised £6,000 for the London charity that I was running for. I'm not proposing to wear a red dress here in Grenada. It would be extremely uncomfortable.
Pink?
Pink, yeah. So, but I thought, why not run the marathon in Grenada at the same time, which means starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. And there's a big advantage to that in the fact that it's a lot cooler at that time of day. And I would simply run up the west coast of Grenada. So the route will start at Sandals, outside the Sandals entrance.
Okay.
And will finish at Duquesne Bay, north of Victoria. So it's
just going to be up the west coast.
Just straight up the west coast.
Okay.
I've got to add a little detour at Grandance just to add another half mile to get the distance, but it's pretty much all the way up the coast. So you can imagine there's a little bit of hill on that coast.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So that's why I've been running this morning, for example, up the hills here, because I've got to be ready for that, and I'm very happy. I can run up hills more or less now. Bit of a struggle, but the whole thing is to raise money for the good cause. And thank you, George, very much for being able to come and join you on the show to get the word out.
This is a great cause. It's not the first time Gylfi's here.
Yeah. And the other point of running here in Grenada is we'd like to meet up with some of the patients along the way. We want to meet some of the prosthetic donees who have got the legs, and to do a little bit of filming with them, to wish them luck, and to create some more publicity for the run itself and for the organisation.
When going to be?
The date?
What day of the week?
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. But starting at 5 in the morning, we could have a little link up at the end of the run. It's going to take me a good 4 hours, especially with some stops. So maybe we should discuss.
What time do you expect that it would be over?
About 9 o'clock, 9:30.
Oh, you're starting at 5?
5 in the morning, yeah.
So by 9:30?
Yeah.
But hey, in that case, we just may be able to facilitate you here.
Right.
And that'd be great.
You'll see me at the bar in Duquesne with a caribou or stag in my hand, celebrating.
Okay. Gylfi, back to you for just a sec here. You mentioned that a lot of these prosthetics are diabetes related. Are you finding people with, you know, the loss of one leg or both legs or what have you?
It's both. I have about, so far I have helped 3 double amputees, which is not very easy to do, but have been successful at that. But because it's in certain cases, I have made a leg for a person only to find out 6 months later, 8 months later, they went back to the hospital and they called me and said, Gylfi, yes, they took the other one. And so if possible, I try to facilitate and make them a second prosthesis. So anything's possible. It just takes determination and some quality of craftsmanship. That's what it takes.
You know, I've seen the reaction of some of the recipients of these prosthetics, and it's just amazing. It's new life.
Yeah. It's kind of easy to overlook for me because I'm into the mechanics of it, right? But then what it really represents to the recipient, we can only imagine. But it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, James, and
okay.
I hope you never have to have a replacement.
They're wearing out fast, but yeah, I'll keep them going as hard as I can. Can I just, I've actually been collecting some funds already, and they've been burning a hole in my shorts. So we've had some very generous donations already. I am raising funds on the GoFundMe.com website, so all you need to do is go to the website and search for my name. I think, George, you put the details up already, which is very kind of you.
The details are up on Grenada Broadcast, yes.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So please be generous and donate through that website. But a lot of people, friends, have given me already. We had a fundraising day sale a couple of weeks ago, for example. So I want to pass these funds straight across to Gylfi right now. And I've got 1,900 EC. And I had a very kind lady give me 100 US yesterday, straight off the bat, when I mentioned I was doing this run. So, Gylfi, that's
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you so
basically a leg for you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
That's a leg.
So,
and on that note, if I may quickly, I ran into a Canadian. This is the generosity that Attach a Leg Grenada is receiving at this point. Ran into a Canadian artist yesterday, and she donated these 2 absolutely fantastic pieces of art.
Upside down.
Yep, well, there you go. I'm in the, yep. And this is intended for us to auction off for the benefit of Attach a Leg Grenada.
There you go.
And it's absolutely fantastic stuff. So people can look forward to that. We're going to be finding out the best way of doing this. And but this is just to show.
James, you hold one. Let him hold the other. And right now we're taking a look at the one that Gylfi is holding. Yeah. And then okay, here.
This artist's name is Roxy. She's from Canada. She's here up in Mount Moritz right now. She's helping decorate the school up there. She's a very, very talented woman. And as you can see, very generous as well.
Okay, so there's one here. That's the one that James is holding. Yeah, beautiful. And there's James peeking around the corner.
There you go.
Okay, and let's get back to Gylfi here for just a sec now. And there's Gylfi peeking around the other corner.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Well, this is absolutely fantastic. It's just made my day yesterday when she presented me with this.
Somebody who's watching now who may be interested in, purchasing one of these pieces, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Well, they can get a hold of us through the website. All our information is on Facebook and on the website also. They can give us a call, give us a message. I'm on WhatsApp, all of the regular stuff.
Okay, and there he is, Gylfi Hilmission, the founder. Attach a Leg. Okay, folks, you can go to the Grenada Broadcast website where many of you are right now, and there's a story there about this marathon that James is taking part in, and you'll get all the information, how to, you'll find out everything about the marathon and how to make a donation.
And I've also created a Facebook page, so I'll be posting some fun updates and news on that Facebook site, so please go and find that on Facebook and like it, so you'll get the updates.
Okay. All right. Man, is there anything else we need to know about Attach a Leg, Gylfi?
Well, the important thing is that I'm here to stay. I'm here for the duration. I take this very seriously. I'm very proud of what I've achieved. And it's for the likes of people like you that kind of make me take a step back and take a look at what it is that I've created and understand the value of it. And so the important thing is to keep it up. Keep it up.
For the benefit of people who may not have heard one of your previous visits to this program, tell them again how you arrived here.
I came sailing. I came here as a yachty. I was captain of my own ship.
Yeah.
So Grenada has this way with people that you kind of stick to it. It's like glue. You keep coming back.
It's easy to get stuck here.
Yeah,
It's true.
You keep coming back, and then after when I realized that, it's like, why don't I just try to stay and see what I can make of myself here?
Yeah.
Do something valuable, something good for the island.
I see here that Ryan Jaban, who's listening out there in Florida, he's asking for the site address. Ryan, it's on my site. If you go to one of the stories at the top there, you will see the story about this Attach a Leg and all the information, the GoFundMe site, the Facebook site, everything is right there. You can check it out, okay? He also says, James, you're a very brave young man running these hills.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Navigating the streets,
Margaret Francis is listening to you guys in New York, and she's posted here. She says, "What is?" Hold on a minute, because there's some others before that. Ryan says, "Does your mountain bike have gears, and hope you use helmets? Thank you for the prosthesis support for fellow Grenadians." You want to respond, James?
My mountain bike definitely has gears, and yes, we absolutely always wear helmets.
Okay.
Priority.
Margaret says, "What is sad and concerning in Grenada is that the medical establishment seems to believe that amputation is the first and only step in treating people with diabetes. Very sad, considering that with proper wound care, diabetics don't have to lose their limbs."
If I may say, this is probably very true. But another thing that I will say also is that I firmly believe that the medical staff here in Grenada are doing the best they can. We don't have all the circumstance, we don't have all the facts, and it would be folly and too easy to start criticizing them without having all the facts. But it is amputations are far too prevalent, unfortunately. Now the reasoning that there's people that are much better equipped to answer those questions than I am, but that is the simple fact, and it's very sad actually.
All right, guys, you were saying something?
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I think.
Obviously, I can tell that the people out there do have an interest, and I just hope that they manifest that interest by picking up their credit cards or their telephones or whatever, and come through for you guys.
Yeah.
The date again, James?
28th of April,
28th of
5 a.m.
5 a.m. You intend to run all the way up to this place in 4 hours?
Roughly, yeah. With a couple of stops to see some of the amputees along the way, get some shots with them.
Have you sort of done a dry run?
We have. We've run a couple of times from Port Louis, for example, to Duquesne, so that's 21 miles. So when you're training for a marathon, you don't actually want to go out there and do a marathon itself every week. But you want to do a couple of runs at least that reach towards that length distance. Yeah, so 21 miles is good. I think I've done about 13 today, so I'm quite happy with my training today.
13 today?
13 today.
I
yeah.
notice you're holding your knee.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of soreness on the back of the knee there, a little bit of tendon or something. That'll ease up. It was a bit sore this morning, but it's fine.
Gylfi, can you provide?
No.
Of course, I'm the miracle man.
Thanks, Gylfi.
Just
but
ask and you shall receive.
What's your entourage going to be like for this?
Well, actually, I'm hoping to have some support. Some couple of the hashers perhaps will join me for all or some of the run. I'd be very, very grateful for Judith's support, my girlfriend. She's going to be driving support cars. So the most important aspect really is keeping yourself hydrated and keeping your salt balance correct, because obviously you are sweating a huge amount because of the heat, because of the hills and that. So I make sure that I'm taking a lot of salts in during the run so that I don't start suffering from cramp after about second or third hour. And that can be a killer. That can be a real downer, can stop you in your tracks. But I find if I keep hydrated and keep my salt intake going and a bit of energy, then it's achievable.
After you achieve this one, which is local, and since you've been traveling, what's your next challenge going to be? Where are you going to? Russia? Japan?
I don't know yet. We have a crazy idea to try to climb all the highest peaks of the Eastern Caribbean islands, one after the other, as quickly as we can, which would be quite a...
I know that for you hashers, from time to time you've been to one of the islands up the street here, and climbed to the top. You guys put a flag. Was it on the Aileron?
Diamond Rock, just off Ilderon.
Diamond
That's
Rock?
right. Yeah, 600-foot climb. It's a tricky climb. It's quite hard to land on the shore because it's pretty rocky and rough. So we choose a time of year where it's calm, like September. And we've gone up there. We put a flagpole up. Unfortunately, the flag we put up the last time, I think the halyard broke. I think the flag is still there, but it's fallen off.
Okay.
So you can still see the flagpole. So we've got to go and put it back.
Here's a note from somebody listening to you in New York, Bob Mayer Show. I think that's where he is now. Bob is saying, I have witnessed this firsthand in my family. In Grenada, one lost a finger and the other lost his leg. The latter, who was 91 years old, was devastated by the loss of his limb and died within a year. That's one of the best kept medical secrets in Grenada, amputation. I have a current case now where the person is 74 years old, female, would prefer to die before having an amputation in Grenada. Okay? She is coerced to do it as soon as possible and has 6 weeks to live if the operation is not done. Sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've heard some of the stories.
Oh yeah. It's yes, and it's just sad beyond words.
Yeah.
But there's a stigma. There's a stigma that comes. The psychological effects of this is we can only imagine, but I see it firsthand in the people that I speak with, people that I try to help, and in certain cases there's really not much that I can do that is of any real value to the person, and that can be even worse than the amputation itself. So it's insult upon insult almost to the person, and it's hard to keep a happy outlook after a visit like that.
Yeah. You know, it's so heartening to see here that there's somebody by the name of Oswin Lewis who's saying simply, thank you for helping Grenadians. You may not get that a lot, but there are people out there who see and appreciate.
Yeah.
All right. Now, in addition to what James is trying to do to help you, Gylfi, you got a big challenge ahead of you, trying to raise funds to do this thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's not as if you're driving around in a stretch limo, you know, doesn't go to Spice Island Inn and Sandoz for dinner every night.
Right.
You know? So tell us about some of the other things that you're trying to do and ways in which the general public can help you.
Well, first, what people can do it immediately, and with this story that with James's effort, on the day, on that morning of that Sunday, 28th, we will be accompanying James, and I'll be rallying some of my clients that are on the main road, on the route, to come and cheer us on and say hi.
Right.
We will have some people out. If people want to come and donate to us on the day and talk to us, or just come say hi and just shake a hand or shake a leg or whatever the case may be. Exactly.
Yeah.
They are, please, by all means, do so. It'll be wonderful to see everybody.
Appreciate the support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I noticed that as part of this campaign, I think you had stated an objective. Was it 7,000?
7,000 US, yeah, roughly.
7,000 US dollars is peanuts, guys. I mean,
in the big scheme of things, it is, but to the amputee that needs a leg that doesn't have it, it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's all the money in the world, pretty much. But I think, George, with the efforts that are on the horizon and the efforts that are being made, we can do this. To me, I'm very optimistic, and I'm very positive we can do this, no question.
Now, a little while ago, I read a comment to you from Bob Mayer's show. Well, Margaret, who's also in New York, she just responded to Bob, and here's what she had to say. She says, Bob, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have lived the experience. I had a cousin whose foot they wanted to cut. We brought her to the U.S., and guess what? Her foot was saved.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad story.
Yeah. That's, we can't have a meaningful discussion about that because we don't have all the facts, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
But there are issues, of course.
Yeah. Guys, again, I'm just calling on you out there to respond positively. Positively. It's for a really, really good cause. And let's hope that they make the 7th hour on the blinking of an eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're pushing hard.
All right. So we know what James's aspirations are, apart from raising 7,000 US for Gylfi and Attacha Lake. And Gylfi, I thank you for understanding. You know, you're very cautious about being too critical of the situation here. We do have healthcare challenges. There's no question about it. Sometimes blown out of proportion, no doubt about it. But we also recognize the fact that we don't necessarily have all the resources that we would like to have, you know, to do all the things we want to do. Yeah. Tough situation.
Yeah.
Ernesto Jose says, I wish you all the best in what both of you are doing to help Grenadians. Our Minister of Health needs to take a page from these guys for the health of our people. People out there, they know. Well, that's going to pull the curtain down for us, guys. And I do thank you. Good luck, James.
Thank you, George.
Good luck. Don't even dream about convincing me that I should run a marathon. I will wish you the best.
You could come and run a few yards with me.
How about if I drive alongside you?
I'd be delighted.
Thank you. I'll hold the smartphone, the camera.
Excellent. Yep.
Hold on. Agatha Jordan says, she said, I think she's in Carrico. Yeah, she says, I knew of 2 cases. Hold on a sec. Where is she here? One in Carrico and one in Petit Martinique, that their legs had been amputated. The one in Petit Martinique had his amputated twice. And died in awful pain.
Yeah.
Sad. Ryan says, a great cause, gentlemen. Be safe in your endeavors. John Crow Alexander, hello, Jean Crow. He says, this is commendable, what these 2 men are doing. As someone who's also trying to do similar work, thank you.
Thank you.
I told you, there are people who appreciate what you guys
do.
do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And Lydia James is saying, Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me see. I think that's it for the timing. Alrighty, folks. I've been talking with Gylfi
Hilmission, yeah.
Yeah, Gylfi Hilmission. And you're from Iceland.
Yep.
And you're from. Oh, by the way, earlier on this morning, I saw a comment here from somebody in Iceland. Let me see if I can pull that up. You probably called your friends out there and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be on George Grant's program this morning." Check
Of course.
Out. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I saw that. Definitely. Yes. Gisli, Gisli.
Guess what? That's my brother.
That's your brother?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I cracked up when I came to the surname because the surname is spelled Friorikson. Don't ask me. How do you pronounce that?
Fredriksson.
Fredriksson.
Yeah.
Easy for you to say. Fredriksson. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Fredriksson, you might want to call it.
Okay. Right. Fredriksson. Okay, yeah. So what he was saying, he said, "Greetings to my favorite island from Iceland. I am a proud supporter of ALG and will continue to do so. They are a blessing to your island. One love."
There you go.
Thank you very much, sir, for checking in. Do appreciate it. Okay, let me get me back here. I've been talking with Gylfi Hilmission and also Mr. James Pascall, who's preparing to take off on that run on the 28th of April. And I'm certainly hoping that you folks will do whatever you can to help these guys. Not a lot of money. It's about $7,000 US that they're trying to raise this time around. But remember, this is an ongoing process. You know, people don't just have amputations today and then no more. It's an ongoing process, as Gylfi explained earlier on. And a lot of it has to do with diabetes. So please, watch your diet. Folks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
you,
I'm sure we're going to be seeing you guys again at some time in the future. And on that note, Georgie Porgy's going to take a little break, and we'll come on back.
Hi.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us
as we energize our Spice Island.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Gylfi chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, it's now 28 minutes after the hour. It's that hour happens to be 10 a.m. Time now to say good morning to my next guest. Let me provide a little bit of an introduction here. Joseph Layne, gentleman that you're looking at on the right of your screen there, is a 60-year-old Grenadian father. He's got one child, grandfather of 3, and he's also the husband of Karen Roden Layne. He is the brother of 9 siblings. He was a prominent activist in the Grenada Revolution. In 1986, he was convicted of the murder of Maurice Bishop and others arising from the tragic events of October 19th, 1983. Mr. Layne spent 26 years in prison on account of those convictions. Upon release, he attended the Hugh Whitting Law School, and that's in Trinidad and Tobago. He has been in the news most recently because of the dismissal of his appeal by the Privy Council against the decision which was made in December of 2013 by the High Court Judge Margaret Price Finley to deny his application to be admitted to the practice, or to practice, I should say, as an attorney at law. The Privy Council, in a 4-1 majority decision, held that there was no basis for interfering with the judge's assessment that there was sufficient risk that public confidence in the legal profession would be damaged by acceding to Mr. Layne's application. Okay? Folks, join me in welcoming Ewart Layne. Good morning, sir, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm a little bit low the weather with the flu, but other than that, I'm all right.
The flu?
Yes.
Sneezing, sniffles, coughing, and all of that.
And so on, yes.
Ewart, is it okay if I call you Ewart?
No problem.
George.
My mother calls me Ewart.
Okay. Ewart Layne, thank you so much, sir, for joining me this morning. I want you, where do I start? I mean, there's so much ground that we have to cover in the next hour and a half here. I'm just wondering, where the heck do we begin? Let me start by you first of all, telling us a little bit about the Ewart Layne that you know, just up to, not including, but up to the revolution.
When I was born at the General Hospital in St. George's, but basically grew up, my early years were spent in Layne, St. Andrews.
Me too.
Mostly with my grandmother. My father was a police officer rising to the rank of superintendent in the 1970s. I attended my first school. I attended was the Holy Innocents Anglican School in Layne. Then I went to the St. George's RC Boys School, which we call Palmer School. Then I went to Presentation Brothers College, where I spent 7 years. At Presentation College, I was a cricketer in particular. I was an athlete also. After leaving Presentation College, I went to teach at St. David's Secondary. I taught there for just under 2 years. And then the revolution took place.
You know, you're running chills up and down my spine. You talk about born at the hospital here. That's where I was born. You talk about Layne. That's where I grew up. You talk about the Holy Innocents. Been there. You talk about Presentation Brothers College. Been there. Then what happened, Ewart? After that track record, you become a revolutionary. What happened? What brought that on?
Well, I think it fell into the period of the 1970s. I was 12 years old in 1970 when the nurses demonstration took place, and I think I got caught up in that, the nurses demonstration, and since that time I've been pretty much involved in the political events in Grenada.
Okay, so since then you've had this aspiration to become involved in politics deeply.
Well, ironically, I never saw it that way. I never saw it as being involved in politics. Ironically, as a young man, you know, you saw politics kind of like a dirty word. Politics was like
still is
the basis of the problems of the society. But
still is.
Yes, but then the reality is that politics is our lives. I should say that as you asked about the revolutionary part, I think my formative years in Layne probably contributed to that, and then also my years at Presentation College. It may amaze some people to know that at one time I even thought about becoming a Presentation brother, and maybe going to some far off place as Africa or something, so to be a missionary, you know. But life took a different turn. So I think that spirit was instilled in me, the spirit of service and spirit of sacrifice was instilled in me from a young age.
I wanted to be a priest.
Oh, interesting.
You know, I'm listening to these similarities. I mean, you have me shaking in my boots here. Okay. But I did not become the sort of revolutionary that you did. So that's where there's some sort of
parting of the ways.
Okay, parting of the ways. Okay. Tell me, sir, you believe the revolution was a good thing for Grenada?
Yes, I believe the revolution was a good thing for Grenada overall. Although the answer I will give you now is different than the answer I would have given in the days of the revolution, or even immediately after, when I saw it as the great glorious revolution. But now I recognize that there were difficulties in the revolution, there were issues in the revolution, there were defects in the revolution. And I always say, if I may just fast forward, I always say that there were really two great processes ongoing in Grenada at the same time, simultaneously, side by side, even intertwining with each other during the period 79 to 83. When that really came to me, ironically, it was in conversations with Teddy Victor. And as you know, Teddy had a background of struggle. Teddy was one of the founders of the New Jewel movement. I have a niece who is also Teddy's niece, so we have that connection, you know. And he was so bitter and so hostile to the revolution, describing it like the worst thing ever to happen in Grenada, you know. So I started to engage him, and then, you know, I said to him once, you know, I said, Teddy, listen, I mean, I find it striking. You speak to some people and they believe the revolution is the greatest event that has ever taken place in Grenada. You speak to others, they say it is the greatest nightmare. So we debated a lot on the issue, and then it really dawned on me that each individual, in a sense, was seeing the revolution from their own vantage point, from their own experience. In other words, everyone was seeing the trees. No one was seeing the forest. I shouldn't say no one. Most people were not seeing the forest, but people were just seeing the trees, the tree that probably they got the fruit from, whether the fruit was sweet or whether the fruit was bitter. But there's a forest. And what were the two processes? To my mind, the two processes, there was a transformative process taking place in Grenada in the period 79 to 83. There was a process seeking to really transform Grenada. And that there was transformation, I think any fair-minded observer will accept that. In terms of economic, in terms of social, in terms of liberating people in the sense of their believing that they could achieve anything. But there was that process, the airport. I mean, there are so many things which you can say manifest that transformative process. It is what Maurice spoke about on March 13, 1979, in his first speech, when he said the revolution is for food, the revolution is for work, and so on. But there was also a second process, which I describe as a reactionary process. Because of the way the revolution took place, and then later, because of the threats the revolution perceived and the reality of the threats the revolution was also under, there was a reactionary process, meaning we are reacting to that fear, to that perception that, look, there are people seeking to overthrow the revolution, there were people seeking to put an end to this. There was a reaction to that. And it is not as though the reaction was without justification. In some cases, maybe it went too far, but there was justification. And for example, that bomb blast on June 19th, 1983 was a watershed moment in Grenada. You're speaking about a big rally with the entire leadership of the country being present, and the placing of a bomb to literally wipe them out. And that was a watershed moment. And there were other acts of violence where soldiers got killed, soldiers got seriously injured. And there was a reaction to that. In that reaction, in a context of the lack of checks and balances, because the Constitution was suspended, in that reactionary process, many people, including innocent people, would have been hurt in that reactionary process. So they react to that reactionary process. And in particular, certain villages in Grenada were particularly affected. So they react to that reactionary process. So for them, the revolution was that reactionary process. It was the security part. It was the heavy manners. It was the, I could just sign a warrant and send you up a Richmond Hill person. It was that side of the revolution.
So like, that was the turning point.
That's what?
That was the turning point.
June 1983, June 1980.
That bombing.
It was a watershed moment. It didn't fall from the sky because, in a sense, the failure to do a number of things, including the failure to have elections, the failure to restore the Constitution, would have all led up to that. So there would have been genuine people who were genuinely concerned about those things. People who are genuinely concerned that, look, those guys want to bring dictatorship to Grenada. People would have been genuinely concerned that those guys wanted to bring communism to Grenada. That, but also, we must not forget that the United States, for their own reasons, also wanted to bring an end to the revolution. Because for the first time, we started to demonstrate independence in foreign policy, relations with Cuba, relations with a number of other countries. So, genuine people combined with United States intention and United States desire to bring an end to the process in Grenada here. All of these forces, in a sense, coalesced. And
all right, the United States' desire, I think everybody understands that, everybody knows that. But did you guys genuinely, there was a promise that there would be elections. Did you guys genuinely, from the heart, mean that?
I think they genuinely meant so. And I can tell you that, in fact, maybe within the first 2 months of the revolution, the party was on the verge of going that way. I think about Morris and Bernard and so on, negotiations with, it would have been in the first month of the revolution, I think. There were negotiations with other CARICOM leaders. And actually, as I heard the story at the time, because I was not involved in those discussions directly, but as I heard the story at the time, and I've seen it referred to later, so I'm speaking about contemporaneous information, it was actually attorneys from Trinidad who said, guys, you don't realize you committed suicide if you want to do that? How can you restore the very constitution that you overthrew? They'll try you the next day for treason. You know, and that was the kind of advice. But so it's my belief that in the earlies there was that genuine intention. As things unfolded, there was more halting about it, and the intention was to have a new constitution and to have elections under that new constitution and so on and so forth. But in terms of the promise made on March 13th, 1979, it was a genuine promise in my view.
All right. You refer to the bombing at Queens, excuse me, at Queens Park as a watershed moment. Something that a lot of people are still looking back at 40 years later is their belief that Mr. Cord had a lot to do with what eventually unfolded in 1983. What was your relationship with Bernard?
Well, I got to know Bernard for the first time after 1976. I think that's the first time I've met him, after 1976. I had great respect for Bernard. I had great respect in particular for his intellect and his energy in terms of his work and so. So I was close to him in that sense. You didn't ask the question, but I'll tell you I was even closer to Morris.
Oh, really? Okay. So when did you sense that Bernard, you had an inkling that Bernard was going in a slightly different direction from what was initially intended?
Well, you put the words in my mouth, because I have a different, and I don't think we could resolve that this morning. I don't think we should even, but I have a different take on in terms of how that relationship between Bernard and Morris. I have a different take from people say, oh, it was an ideological thing, it was a jealousy thing, and this and that and the other. I have a different take. In fact, I wrote something, an article that was published in a book by Cambridge University Press, in which as much as possible, I attempted to analyze what I saw as that relationship and the dynamics between the two. They were different persons. Morris was very, very, very open, very easy to get along with, very charismatic. Bernard on the very he just got along with people very easily. Bernard's personality was almost intimidating because he was exacted. I mean, you say something to him and he will dissect it and look to analyze all the different dimensions. He was very, very exacted, and he was that kind of person, but extremely intelligent, hardworking, energetic. He was exacted, as I said, while Morris will be more allowing. So people tended to go to Morris easier than to go to Bernard. But that combination of Morris and Bernard was really critical in terms of the Jamaican Revolution. I saw it myself leading up to March 13, 1979. And I think the pity is that alliance really, that working together really got fractured during the revolution. And to me, there is a very human thing about this that people tend to miss. I mean, sometimes you have couples married for years and then things break down because of differences in personalities, because of changing circumstances. Things break down. I think people miss that in terms of understanding that human aspect in terms of the relationship. Bernard had withdrawn from the party in 1982, and if you ask me, I think that really was the beginning of the what happened later, because once that it's like in a couple, one party walking out, you could never really come back. You can never really come back. Things could never really return to the same, you know. And I think it was that event in 1982 was quite critical.
Ewart, let me take a little break here now for some commercials, and I'm going to come back. Just want to share some comments that are popping up here on Facebook. Okay. Lydia James says, "Good morning, Ewart. Welcome." Vero Boo. Who's Vero Boo? Vero. I haven't seen Vero Boo before. Vera is saying, "Long live. Nice to see you." Samantha Dixon is saying good morning. And when I asked the question a little while ago if the revolution was a good thing, she says, yes, it was a good thing. She says, "I will trade that time for nothing." Somebody out there in Berkeley, California is listening to you. And Kipling Francis says, "Please ask him if he remembers a guy named Kipling Francis from Mount Rich." Do you remember a guy named Kipling Francis?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, Kipling, no, he doesn't. John Crow says, "Give him a drink of water. Let him take a breath. He seems nervous." Well, he's going to have a sip of water right now. Thank you, Dr. John Crow. My goodness. We have a doctor in the audience this morning.
But I have the flu also.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, I do appreciate that even despite the flu, you made the effort to be here. Vera says, "No, he's not nervous. He always talks like that, ever since I've known him." And Ernesto is standing up in your defense. He says, "Guys, he said he was under the weather." And actually, this gentleman we had a very brief meeting a couple of days ago. And even then, I think you mentioned to me that you had a little flu.
Yes.
I think your wife had the sniffles too, didn't she? Yeah.
What's that be?
She didn't even want to shake my hand. Yeah. When you guys leave here this morning, take your flu with you, please. I can't afford flu.
We will do so, yes.
Okay. John Crow says, "Nervousness is different from nasal and cold. He will be okay after a few minutes." Richard St. Bernard says, "Question. You know Richard? He's also ex-PBC. Richard and I went to PBC together." He says here, "Question. Ewart, why the need for Orel, and how did it affect you all towards the end?" You want to answer to Richard?
Well, there's a misperception that I was a member of Orel. The reality is I was never a member of Orel. I knew the Orel folks. I walked along with the Orel guys, but I was never actually a member of Orel.
That's it.
Yeah, that's.
All right, Richard, aren't you glad you asked? Okay. Zeta Barnwell says, "Good morning to my good brother from St. Vincent." Kipling says, "If you like, I can remind you who I am." Shaba Regis says, "Tell you what." Shaba says, "Hi, Jenny, your good friend from England." Okay, let me take my little break here, and we're going to come on back with you in just a wee bit.
Start the stride to a healthy lifestyle at the 2019 annual Pump It Up Family Fun Walk. There'll be more fun, more smiles, and more prizes for families and friends. Join us in Carriacou on April 7th at 4 p.m. as we walk from the Harveyvale playing field to the Hillsborough tennis courts, and in Grenada on April 28th at 4 p.m. from the Montrouge playing field to the National Cricket Stadium. Packages cost $20 per person for up to 2 individuals and $15 per person for groups of 3 or more. Come out in your numbers to help us raise funds towards re-establishing the Carlton Home.
Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, we're back now. It's, let's see here, it's 8 minutes away from 11 o'clock. My guest this morning, former revolutionary, Mr. Ewart Layne. Ewart, let's fast forward. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about, but I mean, it's been 40 years, and I think Grenadians have heard an awful lot about the revolution. A lot of people still believe they have not heard everything that needs to be heard about the revolution. But I want to fast forward now, because we've only got limited time. Let's fast forward to the recent ruling by the Privy Council. It is my understanding that, I mean, while you were incarcerated, you made sure that you became very well educated. You have a master's, you have a BSc in accounting, I think it is. Okay, so we're not just talking about some guy down on a carnage, right? We're talking about an educated gentleman. And then you decided, okay, you wanted to be admitted to the Grenada Bar Association. That effort was turned down, and you decide not fair. So you decided to appeal. Let's take it from there.
So I appealed firstly to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, and the appeal was rejected. Then I sought leave from the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal to appeal to the Privy Council, and that was rejected. Then I sought what is referred to as special leave of the Privy Council to bring the appeal to the Privy Council, because the Privy Council itself has that power. Mm-hmm. And I was granted special leave, and that appeal was heard on October 24th, 2018, and the judgment was handed down by the Privy Council on 18th of March, which was last week Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm disappointed by the decision, and that's just natural. It was a 4-1 majority decision, and I would have wished the majority went the other way, but so it's natural. However, one positive for me going forward in terms of the decision is that it now has brought a certain level of certainty to the situation. I graduated from law school in 2013, so it's really been 5.5 years since I've had this issue, this battle to be admitted to practice as an attorney. Actually, it's a year longer than the revolution itself. So now I'm very clear in my mind in terms of the way forward. The sticking point is and remains the convictions, and it's just a reality I have to accept. So I've always had maybe it's one of the gifts God gave to me. I have the capacity to have a positive attitude to challenges. That's why, for example, when I was in prison after I was sentenced to death, I took the time to write some books, even while on death row. When the death sentence was commuted to imprisonment for the remainder of the natural life, and I had no date, and at that time the view was that we will die in prison. I had a positive frame of mind, and I did all the studies that you referred to. So now that I know the reality of the situation, I have a very positive frame of mind and very positive attitude to it, because at the end of the day, as I said in another forum, this is not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing that has ever happened in the world. It's not the worst thing that has happened in life, not the worst thing in my life. And I believe I have the capacity to to go beyond this, to be able to use all the skills I have, and so to do something positive. I mean, since 1990, I divide my life into two phases. From the time of my birth to 1991. 1991, August 15 being the date when this death sentence was commuted. So I refer to that as my second life. So I look at it in that way, you know. In many respects, I'm the child of the firebrand revolutionary, you know. And I've really decided to walk a completely different path, but still holding a lot of the values that I think I had from young in terms of justice and in terms of really always trying to help people as much as possible, and for me myself to try to realize my potential. So I try to live that way, and I'm sure I'll be all right. It's a setback, but it's not the end of the world.
You know, it's interesting seeing you smile as you make these comments, because it tells me that you have a great level of confidence in what you're saying and the way you say it. You say it's a setback, but do you intend to pursue this any further? If I'm not mistaken, the Privy Council had suggested that this be taken back to a previous court so that they could look at the principles in which the decision had been made. Do you intend to pursue that?
No, it's one of the law lords one of the law lords, the one who gave the dissenting judgment. Right. He is the one who said so. But in a previous matter, the Privy Council did say that there's a way, if we feel aggrieved about the convictions, there is a way to challenge it. I think the issue is that most guys just feel this. Just leave it alone, you know. But yes, but in a sense, it has not left us alone, and so on, you know. So I think that's really the issue. That guys feel that, look, if we were to go over that path, it will open wounds in the society that we will never be able to have a discussion about the revolution and about 83 and so on in a rational atmosphere if these issues continue to be on the table. You know, some people use those events as a weapon, and in terms of that, and if we were to go back that way, it would do it. But at the end of the day, we'll take whatever guidance the lawyers give, but I'll be moving on with my life. So,
notwithstanding your disappointment at not being able to practice law in Grenada with your skills, you've decided it's time to move on. Ewart, have you given any thought to what direction you're going to head now? And I hope you're going to answer that one with a smile too.
Well, yes, I have given thought. I'm still giving thought. It's not. I've not developed a blueprint as yet, but I'll say this. Even when I graduated from law school in 2013, I said I had a 5-year plan. I said in the first year I'm going to practice law 100%. In the second year I was going to practice law 80% and do 20% of my time I will spend doing other things, charitable work, maybe get into some business, as the case may be. The third year 60-40, the fourth year 40-60, the fifth year 20% law, 80% other things. I'm into the 6 years since I graduated. So in a sense, I'm at that space. So if you want to put it, the disappointment is really only 20% disappointment. And I think the 80% I'll be all right.
I want you to react again. Let's stick with the Privy Council here for just a minute. The law lords saw you as a potential risk to the public, and more so, a potential risk to the legal profession. You agree with that?
I don't think that is exactly what they said. I mean, I prefer to leave this up to the lawyers, but because you asked the question, I just try to clarify it as I understand it. I think the law lord said that there are really 3 aspects to the good character tests required by the Legal Profession Act, and that it is for the court to make this assessment of each aspect. They said the first aspect is the personal attributes of the applicant, and I think across the board, both the High Court judge, the Court of Appeal, and the law lords also essentially accepted that view, that in terms of the personal attributes, there could be really no contest, because because they keep making the point that the assessment had to be made in 2013. So you're speaking about somebody who, yes, with the background of the convictions in 1981, but in those 26 years, against great odds, I had basically remained my stability, my conduct has been exemplary, as they have said, right? So there's no issue there. There is a second issue, protection of the public, and the judgment also says that this was not an issue in the case. Protection of the public will come in if, for example, there is an applicant, and whether it's applying to be a lawyer for the first time, or somebody who was suspended or removed, struck off the list, and who is reapplying. If you have an applicant who, for example, has a history of or a record of dishonesty, for example, then the issue will be whether that person, if they were to be allowed to practice, whether there will be any danger to members of the public who are unsuspected, who retain somebody because the person is a lawyer, and most people say a lawyer is a lawyer, whether there will be any danger that that person may reoffend or misconduct themselves with the affairs of the potential client. And that was not an issue in this case at all. The third issue, and this is the point, it was the issue of public confidence. Namely, given the records, given the criminal record from 1986, in this case, the record of being the convictions for murder, 10 murder convictions arising from the same incident, but 10 murder convictions. Would that damage public confidence in the legal profession if, as they put it, someone with that record was admitted to practice as an attorney? And the court, the law lord said, as I understand the judgment, that they believe they could not fault the assessment of the judge that there was a sufficient risk that public confidence in the image of the profession could be damaged if I was admitted.
Having given that response, I mean, let me ask you this, just before we move away from the Privy Council, because I read somewhere that I'm asking you for your reaction to this. Apparently, Lord Sumption is his name?
Yes, Sumption.
Yeah, Lord Sumption. He said, I find it difficult to imagine that a criminal conviction for murder could ever be consistent with the status of a barrister. One, do you know that you were there? Do you know that comment to be true? And if so, what's your reaction to it?
No, well, he said that is written in his judgment.
Okay.
But again, is a law lord. He's on the final court, a man of great ability and learning, and therefore the due respect has to be accorded to it. But what is important is that that was an individual opinion. In other words, that was Lord Sumner's opinion, and it did not form as such the reason for the decision of the court. Because even Lord Sumner, I think, before that comment, he says, if you have the whole thing there, without ruling out that there may be an exceptional case. That's all?
Okay.
In other words, he has not closed the door on that.
Okay.
And the other law lords made the point that there is not an automatic bar. But then again, one cannot remove the case from the context in which the events took place.
Okay.
So I would say it's Lord Sumson's opinion. I respect it, but he himself did not close the door, and I think he himself made the point, and the other judges made the point. At the end of the day, that is an assessment for the High Court judge.
Beverly Sinclair has a question here for you, sir. George, please ask Mr. Layne. Under the revolution, did the people of Grenada have any guaranteed rights and freedoms? There was no constitution. There was no parliament. Where would the people seek protection or redress if they felt their rights were being violated?
Well, the PRG gave a commitment despite the suspension of the Constitution to respect the rights of the people. So, and of course the court system was there. But let me just make the point that a constitution is important. The revolution lasted a period of 4.5 years. And I don't think, and while I understand and I take the point, I don't think that one should construe, one should conclude that it was never the intention of the revolution to reestablish a constitution and to reestablish all the guarantees for the rights of the people, to reestablish a fully independent court system. And I just want to make this point. The revolution is a point that we used to make during the 4.5 years. And that even in the United States, they had a revolution in 1776, and it took 12 years before the Constitution of the United States, the one that we know now, was brought into force. It took 12 years. So I don't think it is fair. Even if, for me, on reflection, I will say that, look, it was one of the mistakes we made not having an election and not seeking to walk through the Constitution. I will say that no. I mean, with my knowledge and so no, I could see many ways we could have walked through. The Constitution to achieve a lot of what we wanted to achieve. But I just want to make the point that it was 4.5 years. A. Then B, I want to point to the situation in Venezuela, because I believe that Mr. Chavez learned from our experience. Mr. Chavez ensured that a constitution was proclaimed and they did things constitutionally. Right? Yet for all, look at what is happening in Venezuela now.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I guess a lot of people would point to similarities between what is happening to Venezuela with the United States and what happened to Grenada with the United States. Okay. Margaret Francis in New York says, listening to some of these concerns expressed by the Privy Council and thinking by those measures, then more than 90% of them lawyers in Grenada shouldn't have been admitted to the bar. Just saying. She was listening to a little while ago. That's her comment. You want to say anything about that?
I'll not comment on that.
Okay. Kipling Francis, also in New York, says, Mr. Layne, do you have any personal regrets as to how some innocent people were detained, and with no trial, including me. And I know that you knew I was innocent based on what you said to me. This is the gentleman who asked you a few minutes ago if you recognize the name Kipling Francis.
No, I honestly don't remember the name, but if I have personal regrets, I have great personal regrets. And I think very early I made the point that there are certain communities which suffered more than others, and to those communities the revolution was evil, was a nightmare. And I also made the point about the two processes. But the truth is I have great personal regrets, and in fact my experience of prison, which I don't speak about very, very much, because I say that it was not I did not come off the worst in all of this, right? We did not come off the worst. I mean, I had comrades who lost their lives in different circumstances. But the answer to Mr. Kipling is yes. I have great personal regrets, and in whatever way I can assist in making it up, I will. I'll always try. I mean, I know one cannot change the past, but the answer is yes. I have great personal regrets.
You know, what you're saying there must be music to the ears of a lot of people, because let me tell you, it's been 40 years, and I don't have to tell you. You know that a lot of people are still hurting in this country. You've apologized.
Yes, I've apologized on several occasions, but part of the problem is, George, we have never really been able to have a rational discussion about these events. We have never, because the events are many times they are used as a weapon. The international media use it. People seek to weaponize information, right? So once you weaponize it, in terms of that pyramid of discussion I was talking about earlier, at the very base, you have the rumor, the propaganda, the abuses, to reach at the very top, which is where we really need to reach. Why did what happened happen? And in my view, it's difficult to reach there, because as soon as people, some people start to try to bring a sense of rationality to discussion, they are accused of being this, they are accused of being that. Some people who are not even born yet, you know. They're accused of being that, they dupe, they the other, and then they just retreat. So we remain at the base. And that's the difficult part of that debate, that we seem almost to be destined to remain at the base, and sometimes you wonder if it is only future generations.
I hope we're not destined to remain there, Ewart. I hope not, because we need reconciliation in this place.
I, for one, I mean, I am determined. Like, for example, many of my friends have said to me, "Yo, you shouldn't be coming on this program this morning, boy. People will just look to abuse you. People will look to do that. People will look to do this, the other." But I'll tell you a story. I grew up with friends, and even they will tell you today, they used to do things. I will be together with them when they're doing it. We remain best of friends up to today, but I never did those. In other words, I don't look to see what other people are doing to know what I'm supposed to do.
Before this program ends, I'm going to ask you to look into that camera there and speak to the Grenadian people and try to help them to get to that point of reconciliation. But before we get there, here's a comment right up our alley. Wayne Peters says, "Them guys are still proud of the evil they did. He should help the poor people in the spice to fight for their justice. But he should not be a part of the bar. I have to cool myself. He make me jump from the fort. I'm a wicked guy. Face the fire. Sorry, am a wicked guy. Face the fire." Respond to Mr. Peters.
Well, I think, as we say, it's it's I don't know if he was on the fort. He may have been there, right? But I think he's vented his anger, and I accept it. I listen to what he says. I wouldn't respond in an angry way. I wouldn't respond in a defensive way. You know, it's just part of life. And I think if people are able to vent in these kinds of situations, then maybe we actually making progress.
Yeah, maybe. Jerry George is looking at you right now. Jerry says, Mr. Layne, don't you think your most enduring legacy to Grenadians would be the answer to the question, the whereabouts of the bodies of Maurice Bishop and all? Ewart, what happened to Maurice and them bodies?
Well, the fact that I've even been asked this question by an intelligent person as Jerry George 40 years later tells you the power of propaganda. It tells you the power of distortion. It came out, it emerged from the Maurice Bishop trial that the bodies of Maurice and others were taken to Camp Fedor. It also emerged not only from the trial, but it was in the international media. On the 27th of October 1983, a team of American soldiers led by a Captain Ford. There is a photo in the New York Times magazine, New York Times, yes, of that date, actually removing remains which were later identified as remains of Maurice and others. At the trial in 1986, a billfold, a wallet that was found on Maurice was actually displayed as part of the evidence in the case. I think that it is, as I said, it really demonstrates the power of propaganda that I should be asked that today, because that was an issue that was resolved in terms of the remains of Maurice. It was an issue that was resolved before the end of October 1983.
You were, just for clarification, give me that answer again. Yes, you say it was resolved.
Yes, it was resolved because the Americans, a team of American soldiers led by a Captain Ford, it was reported in the press at the time, got the remains of Maurice and others. There was a group of students from Presidential Brothers College who did some research on that, and they were able to trace those bodies to the medical school from Gylfi. They went to the medical school, and the chain of possession after that it ceased. But that the Americans came into possession of the bodies, I think any informed, fair-minded observer, anyone who is not seeking to weaponize information, that is crystal clear.
You know, somebody named Vincent Ignatius Roberts has just posted something here on Facebook, a link where you can go to, it's a story that appeared in the New York Times, 4 burned bodies found in Grenada. That's apparently the caption of that article. So folks, if you're interested in backing up what Ewart is saying here, go check it out. Go check it out. My cousin Layne, this is Emma Ventura saying, stay strong, you said you're sorry. It was such a sad time in Grenada. You know, Ewart, I've been doing this program, I just started my 15th year doing this program, and during that time I have interviewed a lot of people about this revolution. And I keep saying, I've heard some marvelous things about the revolution, but I've also heard some horrendous things. And I've been doing this because I'm trying to help to bring about this reconciliation. But I think that something we're forgetting here is that if people are not prepared to forgive, and believe me, there are such people in this world who will not forgive, despite the fact that on a Sunday morning they go sit in the church, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah, we praise you, God. The same God that prays and tell them, forgive your neighbor. They ain't forgiven one bit. But they come up with this fake worship. We love you, Jesus, thank you, hallelujah. Ewart, I say that to say that people are going to have to forgive. In the last few weeks, I have heard people who were involved with the revolution coming up with a different tone than what I had heard over the years. And here you are sitting here this morning essentially saying you're sorry. You're sorry. Wendy Grenada sat in that chair you were sitting in the other day. And I told her, I said, you know, Wendy, maybe we're at a turning point. Meaning that maybe that reconciliation may be coming about. I hope it is, Ewart. I really hope it is. Because a lot of my friends are hurting. I ain't going to sit here and try to mama guy you and make you think I know everything about the revolution. I wasn't here. And I am not one of them Grenadians that like to talk about a lot of stuff that they don't know about. Okay. But I'm hearing a tone that gives me a little hope, Ewart. I'm hearing a tone. And I hope a lot of people are recognizing it. Yes, what you did was horrendous. And not just you. Last week, on this very program, I had somebody in New York. I never met the man, but this gentleman in New York was telling us about what he went through. Revolution. A lot of people were doing some evil things. But you know something, my friend? The God I worship talks about forgiveness. Do you believe that you've been forgiven?
I think outside of a handful of people, I think the person who is hardest on me
is you.
Is me.
Let me rephrase my question, Ewart. When I asked if you've been forgiven, I wasn't talking about whether you've been forgiven by George Grant or whoever. I'm talking about, do you believe that God has forgiven you?
Of course, I do believe that. I do believe that.
Ewart?
Yes.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Mm-hmm. But if you allow me just to make another point, I don't want us to lose the context. And I made the point earlier, I profoundly believe that there were two processes ongoing in Grenada. There are a lot of people, and I believe it is a majority of the people who experienced the revolution that will praise it to the sky. Many of them will not come forward now in the atmosphere of today. But there was an other side to the revolution. So I spoke about the transformative part, and I spoke about the reactionary part. And I not use the reactionary in a negative way. I'm just saying the revolution reacted to the perceived threats. So these are people who are now telling their story. They are telling their narrative. Now, I have learned that from my own experience, sometimes what is most important is the core of the story. Sometimes the details are in dispute, but it is the core of the story. And I know that in terms of the core of the story, there's a lot of truth to it. Final point I want to make on this about the context. I don't believe that the revolution should be thrown out. As we say, they shouldn't throw the baby, the transformative baby, all the big changes that we sought to bring in Grenada with the bathwater of violations of human rights, suspension of the Constitution, and so on. That's the bathwater. Because I just want to make this point. In the United States, they started a process in 1776. I don't think for close to 100 years after they started that process, there was slavery in America. 18 of the first presidents of America, they actually owned slaves, and they owned slaves while they were presidents. I don't think anybody today will say that enterprise, that project called the United States of America with its great history and contribution to mankind, should be denounced because of that birth defect. It is part of the reality, it's part of a process, and I think it is only fair that we as a Grenadian people embrace our history, recognize the defects that we had, but we should not throw out that transformative energy that the revolution brought to Grenada. I don't think we should throw it out. I think we should seek to embrace it, we should seek to unearth it, we should seek to utilize it, while at the same time dealing with the defects. That's my take on that situation.
Donique Perez says, how can one forgive when they never had closure? Always listening on Rumble Chat says, hell no, he's not forgiven. I rest my case. Hold on a sec.
Sorry.
Hold on a sec, Ewart. I rest my case. I said, there are people out there who will never forgive. The Bible I read talks about a lot of people, including murderers, being forgiven. Again, I'm not justifying what these guys did. I am not. I said it was horrendous. It sucks. It was bad. And I'm glad that I was not a victim of it. But I know a lot of people who are hurting like hell. Okay? So it was bad. But you know something? I ain't prepared to go through the rest of my life hating people for the sins that they committed. I ain't gonna do that. No way, Jose, no way. And then Sunday morning go and sit down in a church and mama guy people. I love you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Oh, praise the Lord. BS. Back here for a minute. Sharon says, forgiveness is not for the person who did you wrong, but for yourself. You cannot heal if you do not forgive. There's another comment I saw here. Beverly Sinclair is asking, why were the bodies not handed over to the families on October 19th, 1983, or even the day after, or sometime before the troops came?
Well, all I can say that sitting in the comfort of a room 36 years later, it is quite easy to say that should have been done. But you're speaking about a situation that developed from where I sit quite unexpectedly. You're speaking about a situation in which at the same time you are preparing for invasion of the country. So it is in that context that the bodies would not have been handed over during that 4-day or 6-day period. But I don't want to be defensive, but I think that the premise, if I'm right, the premise of the question is that or maybe not the premise, but I'm only asking if, I know Beverly to be, I don't know her personally, I've never interacted with her personally as far as I know, but I know her to be a journalist and an intelligent journalist. So if I am correct, and I know I am correct, that the Americans, in fact, got possession of those bodies as early as December 27th, 1983. I guess one may ask why 36 years later they have not handed them over. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why. Because they have said so. They said that they have not handed the bodies over because they do not want there to be any shrine for Boris Bishop and any shrine for the Grenada Revolution. That's what they have said. Remember, and it's the body of Che Guevara was dealt with the same way. But I only making the point that, and I'm not saying that it was not bad and wrong and hurtful not to hand over the bodies. But I only making the point that if you compare that period, October 19th to October 25th, with the period October 27th to the present. I just think fairness requires one to make that comparison.
Okay. Ewart, Lincoln Roberts in Florida says, blaming Americans for something that the criminals did days before the Americans invaded. How, what, and where did you all do? Is that asking too much? Do you understand that question?
No, I don't.
Okay. Folks, I just wish I could keep up with you guys. You guys are posting like crazy on Facebook this morning. But let me take another little break here, and then we're going to come back. You have enough water? You need some more water?
I have enough.
You have enough water. Okay. We're going to take a little break here, and we'll come on back with you at Layne in just a wee bit.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance and Lumber Department, Carenage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
We are working on a project up in Carriacou to upgrade the controls on the generators. The controls are outdated, and it does not give us the flexibility when we want to connect a new generator.
The Carriacou power plant has 3 Cummins gensets and a Caterpillar unit. They are not compatible. The Caterpillar was added as something, a retrofit, essentially to help with generation when we had a Cummins outage. So the control systems were never meant to operate together initially. So what this project did is essentially created a means that the Caterpillar unit and the Cummins system, the original Cummins system of the Carriacou plant, can be compatible.
Now we have seamless transition from one generator system to another. The customer won't even know the difference. We chose Governor Controls because we've had a number of experience with them. We designed the system together.
This project couldn't come at a better time when we are seeing growth on our system.
The good part about this system here now, I know for sure, I didn't think nobody would be calling me out of my bed. Me and the other team members, because we had to rush to get back our engine in time for the island speed.
Yeah, I want to thank the customers, thanks for their patience.
It's a major milestone for us, and the overall benefits would be improved reliability.
GRENADA, energizing our community.
Pump it up, pump it up. Pump it up, pump it up.
stride to a healthy lifestyle at the 2019 annual Pump It Up Family Fun Walk. There'll be more fun, more smiles, and more prizes for families and friends. Join us in Carriacou on April 7th at 4 p.m. as we walk from the Harvey Vale playing field to the Hillsborough tennis courts, and in Grenada on April 28th at 4 p.m. from the Montrouge playing field to the National Cricket Stadium. Packages cost $20 per person for up to 2 individuals and $15 per person for groups of 3 or more. Come out in your numbers to help us raise funds towards re-establishing the Carlton Home.
Welcome home.
All right, we are back. It's now 24 minutes away from lunchtime. Starting to think about what I'm going to have for lunch today. I don't know, but better be good. You taking me to lunch? No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. There's a comment here from somebody named Donique Perez who says, "This is difficult. How can one kill my loved one and I couldn't get the chance to even give him or her a decent burial? Many loved ones never got that chance, even if it was a closed casket funeral." Donique, my heart goes out to you. It's painful. I ain't gonna mama guy you. It's painful. Are you gonna carry that for the rest of your life? Is that what you're prepared to do? Torture yourself? Huh? We will rise on Rumble Chat over here on the Grenada Broadcast website. That's saying, forgiveness is the only way to be healed. Full stop. Full stop. Ewart, a little while ago, I said to you, before the program ends, I'm going to ask you, first of all, what you're doing here, I believe, is helping to bring about reconciliation. I think there's some people who are already resonating with what you're saying. But don't kid yourself. There are a lot of people out there, they don't want to hear squat about what you have to say. That's their problem. That's their problem. Okay. Ewart, there's a camera here. Look into that camera, and by so doing, you're looking into the eyes of people who are listening to you now, and the thousands more who will be listening after this program is finished. Talk to them. You would talk to them about, 1, your sincerity, and 2, any advice that you may be able to give them to help them reconcile. Help them to forgive. Talk to them, Ewart. Take your time.
Well, I guess it is difficult for me to speak about my own sincerity in terms of trying to be a salesman of the sincerity. I know I am sincere. I know I'm a sincere person. I've always been a deeply committed, deeply passionate, I think, selfless person. I always credit my genes, firstly, because I come from stock that give great service to the country in different areas of life. I credit my parents, my brothers, my education in particular at Catholic schools, and just who I am. I try not to put my my own interests first. For example, I was saying to George just recently, a few minutes ago, that if not being called to the bar is part of the price I have to pay this entire process, a small price, a very, very minor price. Many have paid much higher price than that, and I people should not be of the view that I have not suffered. I have suffered greatly over the 26 years in terms of at the hands of the foreign police that's in prison, you know. But I have reached a place where it is not an issue to me. I have completely, totally, comprehensively forgiven persons who would have wronged me, who know they have wronged me, and I deal with them as brothers. I deal with them as brothers because I am a sinner, and who is me to hold sin against somebody when I am myself a sinner? That's my approach to it. I deal, and I don't have to just call names or anything. So people who know me and know of relationships, they know that. It was inevitable that, given all the struggles and so, that I would have been in conflict with different people. But I do not have any issue whatsoever in terms of holding grudges regarding the past. There are times when one has to refer to issues. If people raise issues of the trial and so, you have to refer to issues. But it is not a case I have any bitterness or any hatred for anyone. I accept that I was involved in a human project, a human enterprise, very difficult human enterprise. We had the kind of events never before experienced in the English-speaking world, not to speak of the English-speaking Caribbean, not to speak of Grenada. As I say to people, in just 4.5 years, there were 3 events for many devastating consequences. I was saying to a friend of mine just last week, he read something which referred to 1979 being traumatic, and he couldn't understand that. He said, when it was the Glorious Revolution, how that could be traumatic. And I said to him, remember, Eric Gary at his lowest had at least 33% of the people being fanatic supporters of his. Just think what it would have been for them waking up on the morning of March 13, 1979, to discover that the government that they pledged allegiance to was no more. It must have been a traumatic experience for them. It's sometimes we overlook that, but it would have been traumatic. Then, of course, there were the events of October, in particular October 1983, and then, of course, shortly after, there was the invasion. These were 3 events never before experienced in the history of the English Caribbean. In 4.5 years, one generation experienced 3 events. One, some people would say would have been too much, but 3 of them. And that's why they have had such profound impact on our country. It's something I understand. So I understand people venting, I understand the anger of people. At the same time, out of my sense of trying to be fair and honest and courageous, even when it's not popular to say things, I try to put things in context. Try to put our history in context, try to put the revolution in context. Because I will never buy into the narrative that the revolution was just unmitigated evil. There was bad, and there was bad for lots of people. Great mistakes were made. People suffered. I know that. I regret that. I apologize for that. I have apologized for that on behalf of myself and the revolutionaries over and over. But I do not believe that the baby should be thrown out with the bathwater. In the same way that I always say, I have a lot of family members in the United States, and I always make the point about the history. I wrote a book, We Move Tonight, and persons who read it will recognize that at the front of the book, the quotation I've taken at the front of the book is a quotation from Abraham Lincoln. It just shows that the respect I have for the history of that country, a country that was born in revolution, a country that was born with the defect of slavery, but a country that has given the world so much. And it is that approach. I don't think that we should demean ourselves and judge ourselves by a lower or higher standard that that others judge their own history. I think we have a history that we should embrace with all the difficulties. It is our history, it's our experience. It doesn't drop from the sky. It is our history, it is our experience. We have to walk through it and walk through it as much as possible. Over the years, I have discovered that many people I was involved in conflict with, many times I discovered that they are my blood relatives. Never before knew that. And then at the end of the day, I asked myself, really, we need to find a way to be able to resolve our issues. We need to find a way to be able to resolve our conflicts. That's why I'm a great believer in now, having studied law as I has become more mature. I'm a great believer in having checks and balances in any system. You need to have checks and balances. You cannot have a concentration of power in any one hand or in the hands of any one group. You cannot have that. You need to have distributed power in any system, in any civilization, in any society. I am embarrassed sometimes when I'm asked questions like Ms. Sinclair asks about people's rights, because based on my understanding now and my outlook now and my maturity, I know these are not things that one should compromise with. And yet for all I was associated with a regime that did that. But the revolution, again, I know that we meant good. I know that we wanted to transform this country. We had a very difficult hand. A lot of things went wrong, but again, I say we should not throw out the baby with the bathwater. People ask me if I have regrets, and sometimes I ask them, the manly thing, I have no regrets. No, I have regrets. Some people feel that the manly thing is, I have no regrets, I'll do the same thing over again. No, I will do many things differently. I have regrets. But I seek to put things in context. And that is why I keep taking the position that, look, preserve the positive, recognize the mistakes, reconcile, and as a country we can move forward. Not only for our generation, but beyond our generations.
Okay. Well said. Again, people on Facebook, busy.
Imagine.
Sharon says, if you believe in God and Jesus Christ, how can you not forgive? Lincoln says, confess, then God will forgive. You're right, Lincoln. You're right. He has confessed in your presence today. You know, it was so ironic. I was living in Canada, Ewart. Herbert Blaze in 1986 came to Toronto and asked me to come back here. I came back here in 86. Okay. I have never met you until, what, 2 days ago? 2 days ago. Nothing happens before it's time. Nothing. And boy, let me tell you, I never thought you and I would be having this conversation, the type of conversation we're having this morning. And I'm so pleased to see that there are people out there with whom what is being said here today is resonating. Kipling says, Mr. Layne, thanks. Now, this is the man who was after you a little while ago. He says, thanks for coming on SWGG. That's this program. It takes guts to come here. A lot of people in our government today won't even reach my doorstep. They ain't coming around here. You put me to the test this morning, sir, and I hope you're pleased with what you found. Because like you, I mean well. I'm not out to get people. All right. He says, regardless of what others may think of you, please forgive yourself and turn to God. Kipling. Check it out when you go home on Facebook. Billy Langine says, Mr. Layne, what would you have done differently? What was the major underlying flaw of the revolution causing its demise? You want to take a quick shot at that?
Checks and balances.
Mm-hmm. Checks and balances.
Mhm.
All right.
From the point of view of our strategy, we needed to get the Americans off our backs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long conversation, but we needed to get them off our backs. And ironically, by not having checks and balances, we created conditions where it was easier for them to achieve what they wanted to achieve, and we contributed it. And let me make it clear, with the checks and balances, we had to be prepared to even lose power, right, at the ballot. In other words, we had to recognize that what we did was, it was a revolution, but for Grenada. And we could have put things there, put an example there that even if you lost power, the people know. What I'm talking about, the baby, in terms of seeking to transform. That would have been the standard that others would have been held to.
Mm-hmm.
So I say checks and balances.
Ron Livingston says, greetings, George and guests. Can Mr. Layne give advice to young people on political conflict resolution and conflict management? What is one thing that he would have done differently as a youth during the revolution at that time?
I don't know, Ron, but in many respects, this is one of the most profound questions that I've heard, and it is something prepared for this interview. And in fact, over the last few weeks, and in fact, over the last few years, we have a problem with conflict resolution in our country. It's not only in politics, at the levels of family, in the villages, we have a problem with conflict resolution. And Ron, to be very frank with you, I don't know the simple answer to it. But I know we have a problem. And I think that not just youthfulness, but that problem which well, I've heard one political sociologist say that it runs through our history, that that was a contributory factor. I think I don't know if it's the way we socialize in terms of what is referred to as zero-sum resolutions. In other words, one side must take everything, right? I don't know if it's the way we socialize, but there is a profound problem, and many ways that problem hit us in the face in October '83, and it hit us in the face in a context where there was no checks and balances, and we had each side had guns available.
Loxley Bowen says, God says, if you can't forgive your brother, you will not be forgiven. I think you just answered this one. Fitzroy Adams is saying, comrade, if you have to do it all over again, what would you do differently? Billy Langine says, the baby grew up into a dysfunctional pontificating with his okay, hold on, let me try that again. The baby grew up into a dysfunctional pontificating with his offspring being slaves to their emotions and fear. Let's see here. Donique says, don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is that one can't force forgiveness. It must be sincerely from the soul. Absolutely, Donique. Yeah? Not just when you sit down in a church and talk about, okay, Father, I forgive him. No, none of that. Comes from the heart, girl. I'm assuming that Donique is a girl. Only when they feel they got past that lingering pain and in their own timing. Yeah. People have a way of saying that they forgive, but never will forget. Accepting an apology is easy for me, as I don't linger on things. It's my personal way of surviving life here and moving on. But if one finds it hard to do so, it's their right, and it means that they haven't healed from the pain. Only then can they forgive, no matter how much one convinces them to do so. I think people should be given a chance to redeem themselves. I give them that chance. Boy, let me tell you, there are a lot of other comments there, but I just don't have the time. I can't take on everything this morning. But I'm going to try and pull the curtain down now with just a little tete-a-tete with Mr. Layne here.
Well, Ewart is all right also, as I say, George.
Okay, Ewart, thank you very much. Hello, Penny. Yes, Ewart, listen, man. Finding the words to describe the last hour and a half, hard. But I'm glad they happened. Like I said, nothing happens before its time. And if there's one thing that comes out of this program this morning, is that I hope that the healing process has been accelerated for the sake of my people. I love this country. I really do. Drives me crazy when I see the crap that's going on here. Not just the crap, but unnecessary crap. You know, there's some things in life that things ain't always going to be hunky-dory. But when you see things that could be avoided and you don't, it's just awful. Thank you, sir. I pray God's blessings on you. And I really hope you find peace. I won't even try to think of what you've been through. I know the world has been down on you. All you guys did was BS. It was awful. But to sit here and tell the world, hey, listen, yeah, it was wrong, and I'm sorry, takes balls, Ewart. It takes balls. God bless you, my friend. Come and see me again.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
And just thank the viewers. I've been particularly touched by Kipling, who I can't place him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've been particularly touched by his comment, and I'm sure it will assist me growing as a person. Thank you.
Kipling, you hear that? Yeah, Kipling is somebody who never misses one of these. Okay. I've never met this guy.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, every Sunday morning, in fact, not just Sunday mornings, during the week as well, he listens to all our programs.
Okay.
Okay. And I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Ewart. God bless you, my friend, and come see us again. Pilgrims, Georgie Porgy has been talking with Mr. Ewart Layne. And just about time to pull the curtain down here on this Sunday morning. Yeah, I don't know what to say. This program's going to be up on Facebook within 5 minutes or so. You can go on back in case you missed any of it. And it's also going to be up on YouTube later on this afternoon. No more commercial breaks. Instead, Georgie Porgy's just going to leave you with a parting word, which he does every Sunday morning. This one comes to you from the book of Colossians. Colossians chapter 1, verses 21 and 22. Once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. But now, he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish, and free from accusation. Colossians 1, verses 21 and 22. Pilgrims, you've heard me say on this program in the past that I don't plan these scriptural readings. I just happen to go through the scriptures, and whatever jumps out at me at that top, that's what I use, okay? The scripture I just read to you seemed to deal so precisely with the conversation we've just had over the last hour and a half. Yeah. That's the work of my God. Always appropriate. Take it easy, folks. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for the next edition of Good Day Grenada. Bonsoir.